What up? I'm B, and welcome to my channel where we talk about all things true crime and current events. Today, we're going to be talking about the things that we did not get to cover in yesterday's live stream, and the bulk of that is going to be Nick Snider and his issues with some of the smaller drama channels and what all has been going on with that. So, we'll go ahead and wait just a few minutes here, let people come in, get settled, and then we will get into everything. If you are in here, say hi so I can see who's all here. We're going to wait just a little bit and then we will see. I wonder if Smoky Glow ended up going live because I saw on Twitter that she had said she was going to go live at 6 Eastern time, and I think that is 4 o'clock Mountain time. So I'm like, no, if Smoky Glow went live, it's gonna bum me out because I would watch hers. Like, if I didn't set this up, I would definitely go watch hers over this. Let me check. Let's see. But if you are in here, say hi. Let me know who's all here. Let's see if Smoky Glow went live. We're just gonna wait a little bit before we get into everything. It looks like she's not. Okay. Well, cool. All right, let's go ahead and we will just get started. And if people come in a little bit late, go ahead and just let them know what's going on, give them a brief rundown of what it is we're talking about, so that way they can catch up and we don't have to necessarily interrupt the stream. But let's go ahead, and if you're in here, hello, I want you to get in your head a few things that are going on. Wanderless Z, hey, what's up? 2 for 2. Yeah, you're catching 2 lives. But if you're in here, go ahead and think of something that is currently going on that you want to talk about, because I have what we're going to talk about for the bulk of the video. But then afterwards, we're going to do kind of like lightning round, beasting round, and you're going to go ahead and give me what that situation is, and then I'll try and give my opinion in like a minute or less. We'll do it kind of like a lightning round at the end, so keep that in your head. Lilith is back again. Hi, how are you? Happy Friday, you guys. We're just gonna wait a little bit, see who all comes in. Want to see your crocheting because you feel like you have to in order to be truly experiencing a B. Haney video. I love that. I love that so many of you comment, you're like, I crochet while I watch them, because nobody that I know does any of that stuff. So I always feel like I'm the only person doing it, but seeing you guys do it, it's like, oh my gosh, we're all in it together. Becca, hi, what? Okay, hold on to that, because what we're gonna do is talk about what this live is to talk about, and then at the end, we'll do kind of like a lightning round discussion. So hold on to that in your head. And Lilith said, good, working on paintings while I hop in here. I binge your videos, still trying to catch up. That's so nice. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hey, Becca, can I go ahead? We don't really have trolls in here, so I'm not too worried about it. But just because you're here, can I go ahead and make you a moderator? Just let me know. But so, for the most part, we are going to be talking about Nick Snider and the beef with all of the smaller drama channels. Okay, cool. Thank you. Let me go ahead. Oh my gosh, I'm getting a ton of emails right now, but let me go ahead and make you a moderator real quick. Okay, cool. So if people disagree, if people have varying opinions, totally fine. I'm just concerned about like actually like legit trolls, you know, like we had one in one of the first ones, that girl talking about her bodily functions. So just stuff like that, kind of knock them out. But so recently, after Houston, the live stream, I feel like that happened so long ago, but we're still talking about it. Everything with Petty Page happening, Nick Snider got into a ton of drama with these up-and-coming drama channels. And these drama channels got their start. Well, some of them were making videos before, but they really got like a boost when they started talking about that. When they started talking about the live stream, about the racially insensitive topics, all that stuff. Deja J said, I finally made it to one of your live streams. Yay! I'm so glad that you were here and that you're able to make it. This is going to be really fun. So these channels, they were making videos before, but when they started talking about the issues with the drama channels, they started blasting off. And there's 3 that we're going to be really talking about today. A, it's Tea Time, Shelby Jeffcoat, and T Trigger. So they each have separate beef with Nick and separate interactions, but they're all kind of friends with each other. Like they're all backing each other up and promoting each other. And so I feel like they're getting lumped together. And there's a ton of stuff being said. When Nick talks about it in his videos, he doesn't differentiate who he's talking about. So it's really hard to kind of understand what each of these channels has done and what his problem is with them. So the first one is A, It's Tea Time. That is 2 people, Nikki and Mocha, and their video style. Let me know if you've watched any of their videos below, if you've seen any of them. But their style is like they sit down together. It seems like they kind of have an outline or I don't want to say a script, but it feels kind of scripted. Like it feels very much like they have written out what they want to say and then they follow that. When he said, hello, what I miss, nothing really. We're just getting into it. We are talking about Nick Snider and these smaller drama channels that he's having problems with right now. Right now, I'm just describing what T Trigger is like, or not T Trigger, sorry, It's Tea Time. And so it's the 2 of them. They sit, they talk, and they throw a lot of shade. It seems very rehearsed and like smooth, and it has kind of like an air of I don't know what the word to describe it is, but it's very sassy. They say a lot of bold things, I think. I don't necessarily think it's mean, but it's very shady, very much so calling people out, not just talking about like what's going on, but giving their personal opinion on these people. And so they are one of the people who have been really heavily going after Petty Page. And they talk about her a lot. They talk about how they think she's racist, how her husband's racist, everything. And Nick felt like they were kind of the main people who propelled Paige to get off of Twitter, stop posting as much. Like he feels like they ran her off. And so he made a video responding to them. And within that video, he also talked about Shelby Jeffcoat and T Trigger. That is such a hard name to say like over and over. And I don't know. I think that with a lot of these channels, the bigger drama channels are getting sick of being talked about over and over and over again. And normally I could feel sympathy for that. But at the same time, that's what they tend to do to a lot of people that they talk about. It's constant videos every time something new happens, giving updates. Like they're kind of going through the same thing. However, I think in the past, the larger drama channels have not been as mean. They've definitely made a lot of videos, but some of these smaller ones are really kind of going for the gut. And so the biggest thing that A, It's Tea Time was focusing on was the racism issue, was Paige saying dim sum and using it as an insult, was Nick using the term puppet master, and we'll get into that a little bit more later, but with Rich Lux, with Paige's husband calling himself the Giga Baby, them saying that it stands for ginger N-word, and I don't believe that it does. But Nick's whole thing was like, stop going after her for that. Like, she's not racist. And they were very much, what is the term? Oh my gosh, like virtue signaling. They were talking about like racism is disgusting, using racial slurs is disgusting. And sure, yeah, like you shouldn't use racial slurs. But then Nick went back and found a ton of tweets about Nikki, the guy who is part of A, It's Tea Time, saying tons of horrible things about people from Mexico, about the Mexican culture. He made a comment about how his friend's mom sounds like a tranny, were his words, and that he was going to go tell her. He used the R word, just a ton of really bad stuff. And Nikki has since come on and said he was sorry, but I think the smaller drama channels, the way they're handling it is interesting because Wanda, let's see, $10 in the Fig Newton, that they used words like, gotcha. I did not see that word at all. Not that I can remember, but I don't know. We'll have to go through them again when we're done. But I didn't see that. Yeah, I wonder. I don't know. The whole thing is the way that these smaller drama channels who have gone together and like banded together, they're acting like, yes, it's disgusting. We've had private conversations. I'm talking about, you know, I'm saying that I disagree with what Nikki has said, but they're still my friend and I'm still gonna back them. And I think it's kind of ironic because they have been going after Paige, going after Nick, going after Rich for saying bad things and then standing by their friend. And I think we all have to kind of come to a place where we can be objective. They just said everything is collapsing onto itself. It literally is. I think that a lot of these people started because they were like, we're going to call out the drama channels. We're going to call out the things that they're afraid to call out, and we're going to hold them accountable. But they have things that they need to be held accountable for too. And now it's kind of coming full circle. Their whole thing is like, you have to call people out publicly. You have to hold them accountable publicly. We don't know if you had a private conversation. And now they're having these things where people that they're associated with are having really bad things come out about them. And so I think the thing that bothers me most about people going after these people for being racist is I truly don't believe that Nick Snider or Petty Page are racist. I don't. I think they've said some bad things. I think Paige handled the dim sum comment very poorly. Like she presented a high school research paper on why it was okay for her to use that word instead of either just saying that like in her head it wasn't a racial slur and that's what it is, or I didn't realize that you guys found it offensive and I'm sorry. And same with Dustin too. Like Dustin called Martin Lewis a mutt, and they're going after all these people saying they're racist, and I don't think they are. I just think they've said bad things. I think we have to admit that everyone has either laughed at a joke, made a joke, found something funny that was mildly offensive. You have to get to the point where you realize that that is just the world. No one is perfect. No one has ever been perfect. No one ever will be perfect. We are all going to make mistakes. We've all at least laughed at something that was racially insensitive. And that's just a fact of life. And so I don't like the fact that they get on here and they go in so hard on people for saying racist things when they have a past of doing the same thing. And I can't speak for Mocha, the other person on It's Tea Time, but it's been completely proven with Nikki. He has said some really bad and mean things. And it's interesting that the people who go the hardest are also the ones who have stuff that they've done that they're calling other people out for. Brianna said, so glad I caught your live. Love your content. Brianna, thank you so much for being here. Brianna's a real one. Like she shares all of my videos on Twitter. She's so sweet. I'm glad you're here. But so like I said, I just think it's interesting because people who go the hardest are typically the ones who would have something to either hide or something to apologize for. So that's what's going on with It's Tea Time. Moving on to Shelby Jeffcoat. He was another one going real hard on the racism train, on the disgusting behavior train, calling it Petty Page out for sure, but definitely kind of focusing more on Nick Snider and why he shouldn't be making videos defending his friend, why he shouldn't be going after It's Tea Time. And there was a video, I believe it was 2 days ago, where he went live because Shelby had made a video and then Nick had made a response to It's Tea Time, but he had included things about T Trigger and Shelby Jeffcoat in it. And he made a comment about how Shelby sits on lives and begs for money and like lives in a closet because he had filmed a video in a closet. And that was shady. Like it was 1000% shady. But then Shelby got on a live and went off. And I watched the majority of that live because I saw a few of his videos before a ton of this stuff happened. And I kind of liked it. Like I wasn't standing his content, but I was like, yeah, cool. Like he talks about stuff in like a reasonable way. I'm here for it. But he said Nick was like the trashiest person he'd ever seen. He was gonna fight Nick. Someone like made a joke about because someone said something that he didn't agree with, and he was like, "Oh, like it's probably one of Nick's fans." And someone made a joke and was like, "Nick's fans don't want to be in your live," and he freaked out on her and like was like, "Get out of here! Shut up!" Was like yelling at people, and I hate that because they come on here and they say that they're going to be the ones bringing like common sense and justice and being kind of like a voice of reason within all of this, and then they act like that, then they go off in lives and yell at people and exhibit some of the very same behaviors that they were especially calling Petty Page out for. And so that was an immediate turnoff. I was like, okay, you know what? This is chaotic energy. This is angry energy that I am 1000% not here for. You're turning into the people that you claimed you were against, and I'm over it. But I will admit the next day he did post a video talking about how he realized in his live stream that was not how he should be acting and he wanted to apologize for it. And I think it takes a lot to be able to come onto the internet and admit that you were wrong and admit that you were acting in a way that was not the best and was really off-putting to a lot of people. So I do respect him for that. Like I appreciate the fact that he um, came on here and was straight up about it and was like, I don't like being that person. It reminds me, and I believe I heard this. I'm not saying that this is a direct quote, but I believe he said it reminds him of how he felt and how he acted when he was using. He's a former user of something. I don't know what it is, and I'm not going to make any assumptions, but I believe, if I remember correctly, he said it made him feel like that. And so I think that takes a lot of vulnerability, and it's good. Matt Damage said, I made it. Hey, so happy you're here. We are talking right now about Nick Snider, his drama with these smaller drama channels, and right now we're specifically focusing on Shelby Jeffcoat. So like I said, I do appreciate that he said that because I liked his videos before the shtick. Like after he hit his 1,000 subscribers or when he was on his way, almost there, all of a sudden he's in like a blue wig and crying on live because T-Trigger broke up with him and being so dramatic and doing all of this stuff. And I'm like, dude, what's the show? Like, what is that for? I don't get on YouTube to watch people put on a show or be ridiculous. I get on YouTube because I like watching the people and I like hearing their opinions and hearing their comments. And I think that's why Smokey Glow is like one of my favorite creators, even though I don't always agree with her on everything. She's just like a real person and she sits and she tells you her opinion. And I really value that. I think a lot of people also value the show and that's evident because they're getting a lot of subscribers. And so that's great that they're making content people like, but it's very ironic because in a matter of like 3 weeks, they went from holding drama channels accountable for bad behavior to falling right into that same trap. Lorna said, I just feel like he should take a break and not feed the drama for a bit. Absolutely, because he's doing live streams all the time. And something further about that is that after the tweets that Nikki had made like 10 years ago came out, his opinion on it was like, those are disgusting. I talked to him privately, but we're still friends. Like, kind of doing the same thing that Paige and Nick did, where they're like, we talked to our friends privately. I don't agree with what they said, but I'm going to support them because they're my friend. And then, so he made that video. It was a pre-recorded video. And then he went on a live, I believe it was last night or today. Like I watched it today, where he's talking about how he thinks that like he forgives Nikki and he's going to see how Nikki behaves from AXT time, but he's still against Nick Snider. And I'm like, dude, like, I get that he's had some bad behavior recently, but if you're going to forgive someone just because you like them for doing the same thing that someone you don't like is doing, you got to kind of find a middle ground, because I get that Nick, Rich, Paige, they've all said racially insensitive things. And the biggest thing about Nick was that he had said Um, he claims that it was not anti-trans, but some people took it as a transphobic remark. And for him, he's saying that's not my intention. And so you have to think, like, in the history of me watching this person, have I gotten the vibe that they are transphobic, homophobic, racist, like stuff like that? You have to think of it in the bigger picture as opposed to, do I like this person or do I not? Wanderlust said, I'm a big fan of this person as my friend and I support them, but they can do better. Make it known that you can support them and aren't just dropping them, but also call it out. Yeah. And I totally agree. I mean, I think it gets messy when you start mixing drama channels. And we saw that with the bigger drama channels. And now we're seeing it with these smaller ones too. And I think you should be able to say, this person did something I disagree with. I don't like that they did it. We had a conversation about it, and publicly, I'm moving on. And I totally think that that is an okay way to approach it. I think that's probably the best way to approach it. But with these smaller drama channels, when Paige and Nick were saying that about Rich Lux, it wasn't enough. And so I think it came full circle very quickly that they said that it wasn't good enough, and now they're in a position where they have to say that about themselves or their friends. So we'll see where that goes. Shelby and Nick have been going back and forth on Twitter and making videos like opposite one another. And I don't know, I just, like Lorna said, I hope that he takes a little bit of a break, because I think he does have some good points and some good views on things. And I think he has the potential to be a really great drama channel. People really like him. He already has like stans. And so I think that it's really great when someone is successful on YouTube, but it's not the best to get swept up in something like this that makes you lash out because you're getting so emotional about it or so swept up in it. So I like a lot of his content from before all this happened. So I hope that he does kind of take that break, settle down, because even in his most recent live, he's still kind of being snappy with people. And I'm like, you're on the internet. People are going to disagree with you. And if I was like a super fan of him and I had a feeling that like, and I had a thought that was not the same as his, I wouldn't want to say it because I'd be scared to be lashed out at. And you can even see that within his comments, people being like, please don't be mad, but here's how I feel. Or like, I'm not sending hate, but here's how I feel. And I get that part of that is just the internet culture, because people are used to their favorite creators lashing out when people disagree with them, as messed up as that is. But I also think you kind of perpetuate the community that follows you, and the people who watch your videos and comment on your videos. You kind of set the tone as the person making the videos for how comfortable they feel sharing things that they disagree with. So that's kind of the summary on Nick Snider and Shelby Jeffcoat. Does anyone have any questions or opinions about that before I move on to T-Trigger? Let me know. And also, I'm going to wait a minute. For those of you who were not here when we first started, the main part of this video is going to be talking about Nick Snider, but if there's something currently going on that you kind of want an opinion on or you want to talk about a little bit, keep it in the back of your head, maybe write it down or something, because at the end, we're going to do like 10 minutes of like a lightning round where we talk about stuff really quick. So just keep it in mind. But it doesn't look like anyone has anything else to say or any other opinions to share on Shelby or It's Tea Time. But if you think of something later, definitely leave it and we can address it. And then the last anti-drama channel within this trifecta is T-Trigger. T-Trigger is the person who has grown the fastest from what I've seen. I think they have like 3,000 subscribers now. They really took off. They do videos like with animation with a cartoon. And so you don't know what T-Trigger looks like. But the reason that T-Trigger is within all of this, first of all, is because his videos were about the Houston Christmas party, all the drama that happened with that. And so obviously a lot of people were watching for that. But then also a lot of people have been focusing on him because he is calling Nick Snider out for anti-Semitic remarks. And the remark that he's referring to is calling Sam from Here for the Tea a puppet master. And the way that it appeared to the public was that T Trigger was saying, this is anti Semitic, it's racist, you've said this, it's not okay. Like, it's racist that you said it and you're racist. That is how the majority of people who saw his videos or saw his tweets, that's how they took it. And he did a whole video on it. That's how I took it, was him saying that he thought Nick Snider was racist for hashtagging puppet master. In my opinion, I have heard puppet master my whole life used towards other people, used towards people who are not Jewish. Like, I have never heard it. I mean, I have heard it in terms of people who are Jewish, because there's a lot of talk about, like, they control the media, they control the government, they're the ones pulling the strings on everything. But I never thought of it as an exclusively Jewish term. And so it's kind of like, you're kind of reaching when T Trigger said all of that, but it seems like he worded it wrong. He shared his opinion incorrectly. He wasn't necessarily calling Nick Snider racist or anti-Semitic for saying that. His main goal in talking about it was to talk about the fact that people don't realize that that can be a racially insensitive term, and they don't realize the impact that it can have when you use things like that. And I think I'm kind of at a crossroads here, because part of me really wants to learn about things that people find offensive, and I don't want to hurt people's feelings. Like, if there's something that I've said that is offensive or makes someone feel bad or has a connotation that I didn't know it had, part of me really wants to know so that way I don't hurt anyone. But at the same time, language is a social construct. Words are not inherently good or bad. And so I think we have to be aware of how many words we are putting on a blacklist before it just gets petty, before it's just like everything is blacked out. When it comes to Dustin calling Martin Lewis a mutt, I have heard white people refer to themselves as mutts before. I can see how in other regions, or depending on where you grew up, even within the United States, it could totally be something offensive. And I totally understand why. But I've never heard it used in an offensive way. I have always heard it used as, like, people from Europe, white people who are from all different parts of Europe and came here and now they're American, were mutts. Like, that's how I have always heard it. And so I think when calling out words that are potentially offensive, it's important to acknowledge the fact that their intent may not have been that, and their experience is not your experience. And so being open to hearing how people feel is extremely important. But it's also important not to put too much weight on specific words, because not all words need to be offensive. It's good to educate people, but looking at the intent is extremely important, in my opinion. So I understand why T Trigger wanted to kind of talk about it and have a conversation about the way that our words impact people, even when we weren't intending them to. But I think the timing of it was pretty bad, because all of this other stuff was going on around Nick and his friends being called racist. And you're just throwing something else in the fire. You're adding another fan to the flame. And now people are getting the opinion that you think Nick Snider is an anti-Semite. So did any of you guys watch that video that T Trigger made, or have you been keeping up on that? It's interesting because I feel like usually we have a lot of opinions, but I'm wondering if a lot of you haven't really seen any of these people or haven't seen any of their videos. I know for me, because we talk about true crime and current events, I'm kind of like on YouTube a little bit more, like digging into people and seeing smaller people. But Shayla May says, in the UK, we call each other mutts, as in girls call other girls mutts. They're calling a girl ugly, nothing to do with skin or ethnic background. Words should be addressed when there is intent. Yeah, I think that's so important because people everywhere have different experiences with what certain words mean. And that's just the way it is. Like, if we all understood words the exact same way, it's like, why would there be different languages? We all use language differently. We all use words differently. And I've heard people call girls dogs because they're calling them ugly, but I've never heard them call them mutts. The only way I've heard mutts is the way I described earlier when talking about white people from Europe. Becca said, I watch bigger drama channels, but I don't usually come across smaller channels often. Yeah, and I mean, I think you kind of have to be looking out for smaller channels. Like, if you have a habit of watching the bigger ones, they're going to be the ones who are always recommended to you, and you already know that you like their content. So time is valuable, and if you don't know if you're going to like their content or not, it's better to kind of stick with what you know sometimes. But I do think this rise of this like group of smaller drama channels is really interesting. Megan said, I've started watching smaller drama channels now. What smaller drama channels are you watching? Are you watching any of the ones that we talked about? One drama channel that I mentioned in another live that I still really like is Flow with Coco. His name is Corey, and he's talked a bit about the whole larger drama channels fall from grace, but he doesn't do it with a mean intent. And from what I've seen, from what the emotions that I have felt were portrayed with It's Tea Time and Shelby Jeffco, a lot of it just feels mean. Man said, yes, all of them. Gotcha. Okay. Does anyone else have any opinions on this? I know it's a heavy topic, but definitely don't be afraid to share your opinion. I mean, it's important to talk about these things in an environment that's not going to be angry, or like, we're not going to grab our pitchforks and come after anyone. It's just good to share your opinions. Shay said, I did watch Tea Time a while, but after the continuous uploads of Petty Page, I had to stop. I felt it turned into something darker and I had to stop. Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, they were the biggest perpetrators of making those constant videos about her. And I get it. Like, if you're making videos about something and it's getting views, you're going to want to make more and more and more. But I think as someone who wants to hold larger drama channels accountable for their bad behavior, it's especially important for you to take a step back and say, is this too much? Is this crossing a line? Am I going too far? How would I feel if this was made about me? Wanderlust said, I wish we focused on educating over shaming. If someone says something racially insensitive, tell them why it is. Don't just cancel them. And Megan said, I liked Shelby, but he got on my nerves fast. Yeah. Wanderlust, that is so important. I love that perspective, and I wish that so many more people had this idea, and I wish that the people who they're trying to educate were open to it too, because I've seen in some instances where people want to say, oh, hey, like, this word isn't the greatest and here's why, and other people just 100% are not interested in being educated. But I think we all have to work on it. No one likes being told that they're doing something wrong or saying something mean, and no one likes hearing something that makes them feel offended, but we've all got to find this balance of, we're all here together. I would so much rather have like open, honest conversations and work through things and then be better, as opposed to throwing shade, canceling people, like canceling somebody and then a week later it's over and they're uncanceled. Like, cancel culture has lost all meaning because you can get canceled for everything. When he said, I think that free speech should be exercised, I also think we should think about the weight and the meaning of our words. Perfect. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can say whatever you want, but just be mindful, like, we all have the right to say whatever we want. We all have the right to our opinions. But I think it's important to think about your audience and the way that how you speak affects them. And I'll go ahead and give an example of myself, because sometimes it's not even intentional. In a lot of my older videos, and this recently just stopped like 2-3 weeks ago, at the end, I used to say, go out there, be the voice of reason in a world full of crazy. And someone who watches my videos said, I know it's not your intent, but that word just rubs me the wrong way. Like, it, as someone who has been working on my mental health, hearing that word really just doesn't make me feel good. And I know that they knew that my intent wasn't to make them feel bad, but as someone who is supporting me and watching my channel, I don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. If they're coming to me and having an honest conversation and just being genuine, why would I not change it? And so I stopped saying it because I truly appreciate people who come in and watch the videos and take the time to leave an informative comment about what I've said and how it makes them feel. I appreciate that so much. And so we all have to take the time to consider how other people see things, but also she recognized that my intent wasn't harmful. So I think that that's like a really cool interaction. And if more people could have interactions like that, then we wouldn't have this whole house of cards falling down on itself over who's racist and who's not. When he said, I'm in middle school and I feel like this is my bad. Oh, you didn't finish your comment. Lily said, I love that you learn from your viewers. I wish more people would do that both on the internet and in life. Yeah, it makes things so much easier, like to just listen and consider where someone's coming from. Because at the end of the day, I think she would have continued to watch my videos. She said some very nice things about my videos. And if I didn't change it, I think she probably still would have watched. But as someone who approached me in a very genuine and sincere way, I would like to make her feel comfortable too. And so I think so many people could just, if they could take a step back from emotions and think about the situation as a whole and be like, is it really a big deal if I don't use this word? Or is this person using this word such a big deal when I consider their intent? It could be such like a place where so many more people could grow and become better people and interact with each other better. Wanderlust Z said, free speech doesn't mean freedom from consequence. We should all take the time to think twice before speaking or doing something that might hurt someone. Exactly. Yeah, just because you can't say it doesn't always mean that you should. May said, I completely agree with you on your views of intent. Intent can really change the conversation when people take the time to listen to each other and where everyone is coming from. Exactly. And that is what it comes down to is intent. And you don't always know someone's intent. Well, with some things, it comes down to intent. Some things cross a line and they shouldn't be said. But with things like Puppet Master or Mutt or even Dim Sum, if Paige has never heard that in a racially insensitive way, if within her community it is used as one way, that's the way that she's going to think of it. And so we might not know if she's lying. I mean, she could be completely aware that it's offensive and she could just be trying to cover it up. But I don't know. I don't think that she's racist. And I think that it was bad of her to snap back at somebody on Twitter like that, especially with everything else that was going on. But I think it would be very foolish of her to intentionally use something that she herself saw as racially insensitive on such a public platform. Like, people are so heavily focused on racially insensitive comments or being racist or saying racist things that it would be really dumb of her to intentionally say something that in her head she knew was offensive. So I think we have to consider intent. We have to consider the behavior of the people that we've seen in the past, and you don't always know. That's the hardest part of YouTube is you see like 0.1% of someone's life. You don't see them when they're having a bad day, unless they choose to show you that. But even that can be edited. You don't see them when they first wake up, when they're interacting with someone rude at a store, when they're having a tough day, when they're feeling sad. And so it's hard to judge intent. It's hard to judge who people are at their core when you don't see their whole life. But the best we can do is try. Like, the most we can do is try and consider what we've seen from them and judge based on that rather than a standalone tweet. Does anyone else have any other opinions? Because if not, I think we're going to dip into the lightning round. And I don't know how much of a lightning round it'll be because sometimes I get going and I don't stop very quickly. But we'll try and do it. We'll try and do it pretty quick. I'm going to give people a little bit more time if they have anything to say. And then when we hit 41 minutes, so 1 minute from now, we'll go ahead and we will start the lightning round. So if you have a current events topic that you want to talk about for a little bit, go ahead and get it ready, start typing it out, and we'll go ahead and pick some once we hit that 41-minute mark. So 40 seconds, start your engines. We're going to get ready for it. But I think that was pretty much all I wanted to talk about with Nick and those smaller drama channels. I mean, I want success for everyone. And at this point, I think it's kind of exhausting to keep up with all the videos that are being made back and forth. And a lot of people aren't keeping up on them, and I completely understand because it's a lot. It's a lot of emotion and a lot of anger, and I get that people can be more sensitive to some things than others, but when you're putting yourself out there to talk about stuff on YouTube, you have to be aware that some things are going to happen that you're not going to like, and you have to moderate how you respond because you can only control your response. But all right, we've hit 41 minutes. Topics, lightning round. I think Becca had one. What do you think of, yeah, there she is. Becca said, what do you think about what's going on with Jeffree Star? I don't know what to think. I think, okay, and Wanderlust said, what's your opinion on Jeffree Star's possible breakup? I don't know. People have been talking about how, ooh, that's a good one. Hold on. People have been talking about how Jeffree took Nathan out of his bio on his social media, but it does also seem like Nathan went off social media about a month ago, and they did buy a house recently together. So to me, I think it could be anything. I would be very surprised if it was a breakup. I don't get that vibe. I think it's probably, I mean, and that's not like highly personal and hurtful, but I think it's probably something a little bit deeper than that. And my first thought was something's going on with one of his dogs, to be honest. I don't want to speculate too much because we obviously don't know. Like, he's not been on here. So we don't know what's going on. And some people are speculating some really damaging stuff, but I think he'll tell us when he's ready. Like, I think he's okay. And I think that's kind of the best you can hope for when someone kind of goes silent on social media, is that they're okay, that they're safe, that they're in an environment where whatever they're going through, they can process it. And so because he tweeted and deleted a few days ago, like, obviously he's all right. But my first thought, like I said, was that something's going on with his dogs. Because like 2 of his dogs died last year, and he was really close with those dogs. You know, he loves his dogs. And so that was my first thought. But I don't know. I think we're just going to kind of have to wait on it. All right, next topic. The moderator of Chris Hansen's show. I'm disappointed. Like, that's the only word, is I am disappointed. Because for anyone who doesn't know, Not Another Drama Channel did a video about, his name is Vincent Nicotra. He is the moderator of Hansen versus Predator, where Chris Hansen has been talking to a lot of people who have interacted with Onision or like had problems with him, been in relationships with him, stuff like that. And Vince is always in the background contacting people, talking to them. And Not Another Drama Channel did a video about how he said that he was creating a new platform for people to basically create videos on. It was going to be like a better YouTube, a place where creators could have more freedom, could talk about what they wanted. He said he'd been working on it for like a year. Turns out it was just like a basic code that he had like bought or copied. It wasn't a true thing. And so she called him out for that. And then I don't know who he was having a conflict with. I think someone named Deity, but I don't know a ton about that situation. Emails came out where he said that person was the R word. He was like, your source is blank. And I think he sent it from his business email because his signature was like YouTube manager and media manager of Hanson versus Predator. And I don't know how we are in 2019, 2020 with people still thinking that saying that is okay. And not only saying that to somebody, but saying that on a business email is okay, because it's aggressive. It's not necessary. That response was not at all necessary. And I get that people get mad and they lash out and whatever, but I think that he has a bit more of a moral obligation to present himself differently. He is being held to a higher standard because he is connected with Chris Hansen. Chris Hansen is like the OG creep catcher, and he came on YouTube to help people, to talk about people who are in compromising situations or people who need help. And he really focused and honed in on Onision. And these girls that they're talking to have been through some serious trauma. And I have not seen anything about Vincent behaving inappropriately in any sort of manner like that. But I think it's important for people who Vincent is contacting to be able to trust him. And if you're going to expect these girls to come onto YouTube and talk about some of the hardest parts in their lives, they need to trust you. And so it's just not okay to talk to people like that. Even if you don't like them, even if they're making you mad, it's not okay to do that. And it's not okay to lie about creating a new website when you just copied the coding from someone else. It's ridiculous. But Wanderless C said about the Jeffree Star thing, he took Nate out of his bio a while ago. If you checked his Wayback Machine, it was gone in December to make room for the conspiracy pilot launch info. See, good to know. Like I said, I don't think, guys, this is so itchy. I don't think it's about Nate. I think something a little bit deeper is going on. Deja and Becca said that they're interested in hearing about the conflict in Iran. Becca, I saw you comment that on my community tab, and I have been looking into it. I'm not going to give an opinion now because I think that I don't have a good enough understanding of the entire situation to make a well-informed statement. I had my gut reaction to it and my gut response to what happened, but I don't want to talk out of my butt. And at this point, sharing an opinion on that would definitely be doing that. But Iran and the US have a very complex history. And so I've been listening to different podcasts, trying to kind of figure it out and see where I stand. But I'm just not there yet. Maybe we can talk about it on a different video, but for today, I don't want to say something about something so serious without being well enough informed. Izzy Blue Hippolito said, thoughts on Eugenia Cooney and Katie. Guys, that video, I did not watch the whole video. I watched Creep Show Art, her video on it, and the clips that she put in there. What even is that? Katie Morin is a therapist. I'm sure that in a private capacity, she is good at her job. But from the second I have seen her on YouTube, I have had serious questions about the quality of her services. Because I think it is very irresponsible to go on a docuseries with Shane Dawson trying to figure out if someone is a sociopath or not, and giving your opinion on someone's behaviors without seeing them in a clinical setting. I don't like it. It may not be against any sort of rule or regulation with her licensing board, but I still don't like it, and I think it's a bad look. And so I've never placed much stock in the things that she says, but I think it is very dangerous for her to go on video with someone who is going through a really hard time, somebody who has very publicly gone through something very difficult and was not willing to admit that she was going through it for so long, for such a long time. We saw Eugenia's decline. We saw her get skinnier and skinnier and her skin become red and purple. We saw it before our very eyes and we called it out. And she did not admit it. She never said that she had a problem. It was always like, people are so concerned. It's nothing. I'm fine. And so to come onto a video and let someone say that their mom, who Eugenia lives with her mom, if her mom legitimately cared about her, she would have done something. And I'm sure her mom loves her in her own way. I'm sure she loves her in her own way, the best way she knows how. I don't know anything about her mom, but she lives with her mom, and her mom would have had multiple opportunities to get her into treatment. And so I think it is irresponsible to let someone come on video and say that, oh, things weren't as serious. My mom really, she was taking care of me. We talked about it. I was going to get treatment. And, Jacqueline, Glenn, and friends, they ambushed me because they thought that we were friends and we're not. It's dangerous. Not only is it dangerous, it's dishonest, because Katie was the one who told Jacqueline Glenn that they could get Eugenia 5150'd, which is basically where someone is taken in by a psychiatric emergency team to evaluate them. Like they come to your home or to a designated location. They'll do an interview with the person that you're concerned about. And if that person is deemed to be in danger of harming themselves or others, they're not at the mental capacity at that moment to make the safest decision for themselves, they will take them in for further evaluation. Katie Morton told Jacqueline Glenn that she could do that to Eugenia because she was so concerned about her. And then for Katie to go on video and be like, oh, it sounds like they did this. It sounds like they called a psychiatric evaluation team. I don't know. Skeezy, because you literally told Jacqueline that that's what she should do. And now you're pretending like you didn't know. And then to let Eugenia be in denial about how serious her situation was. It's dangerous. And I get that it doesn't make for necessarily a good video if it seems like you're coming down a little bit hard on somebody who is in the process of becoming better. But YouTube aside, this is her life. And she needs to be able to admit that she was very close to death because she couldn't admit how serious it was. And that video, from what I saw of it, it was not good. She didn't, and not that Katie should have attacked Eugenia at all, but I think she could have done a little bit of a better job of being like, your friends didn't trick them into taking you. You had that interview, and at the moment, it seemed like you were not capable of looking out for yourself. And so that's why they took you in, kind of bringing her a little bit to reality as opposed to letting her spin this narrative of the fact that she knew that she was sick and she was going to get help and it wasn't that serious, but her friends tricked her and her mom was really the one who was there for her. You kind of gotta, it's uncomfortable, but you gotta nudge people a little bit to be like, oh, wait, no, this is what really happened, right? This is the reality of the situation. I don't know, YouTube therapists and stuff like that, I'm a little bit sketched out sometimes. Lorna said, Gabby Hanna lying about everything on that new podcast. Dude, somebody commented on my Gabby Hanna video, the whole history of Gabby Hanna, being like, you need to make a part 2 because she's done about 5 more things that are terrible since then. And I'm like, I can't handle it. Gabby, I don't know, man. I don't know what I can say that other people haven't said. She needs to be able to hold herself accountable, and she doesn't want to. And so, you can't say anything to somebody who has done so much vile, horrific thing, so much to hurt other people, and still doesn't want to apologize. You can't say anything to make them realize that they were in the wrong. And I think, again, the person who was interviewing her should have called her out, should have brought her back to reality, because she said that the reason people were mad and calling her a scammer was because she did that interview with Genius where she blew out the mic on her song and it became a meme and she capitalized off the meme. And so she said that people were calling her a scammer for that, conveniently leaving out the fact that she had promoted these brushes that were free, but they were crap. Like, they were supposed to be luxury brushes, and they weren't. They were AliExpress dropshipping brushes. And so it doesn't surprise me that Gabby painted herself as the victim. It's what we're used to. The worst the worst part about Gabby like doing all of that is when she like planned to tell a story about, this was on her interview with Megan Batoon, talking about Alex James, how he like called her and they said, "Oh, D-Dubs, hi D, hey, what's up? I'm glad you're here." Where she said like, "Oh, my friend just like flew across the country and he moved me out to LA the next day." And she's like, "Oh, what a cool friend and story." And Gabby was like, "Oh, he's actually a really terrible person." Like, you planned to say that. You planned that bit out in your head, knowing that she was gonna compliment him and you were gonna be like, "No, he's really bad." Like, gosh. Wanderlust said, "I know Gabby's sister, so all my opinion is somewhat secondhand, but off YouTube. I don't think Gabby is a bad person. I think she's just in denial about how bad her actions really are." Yeah, I mean, I can't judge whether she's a bad person or not. I can just say that from what I've seen, she has a real aversion to taking responsibility and for saying like, "Guys, I messed up. I'm sorry," which is common. And again, it is really hard. Like, I commend people who can come on and make a genuine apology video or say something genuine, calling themselves out, because it is really hard. No one likes to be wrong, but you can't, like, you're building a relationship with people and your audience really should be allowed, like, they should be able to trust you. They should be able to know that you're not going to steer them completely wrong, like off a cliff, you know? And so I think it would be really cool. It would do a lot for her if she took the time to evaluate what she did and form a genuine reaction and a genuine response. Wanderlust said, "Gabby was way worse back in the day, so she thinks because she's not as bad as she was back then, she's good. I wish she would be willing to learn and take responsibility once in a while." Yeah, and like that makes sense, because if you are used to yourself behaving in a way that is just completely abhorrent and then you're making small progress, it can feel really good and you should be able to celebrate the progress that you've made, but you kind of got to recognize better isn't all the way better. Like, better isn't the best that you can be, or the kindest that you could be, or the most responsible you could be. It's better than you were, and so that's an improvement and that's great, but you also kind of owe your audience a little bit of a sincere apology for the things, for the way that she scammed them. And she owes Jesse a genuine apology. And I don't think that Jesse will ever get it, but I think it would go a long way if more people could step back from their emotions and how they feel about things and really evaluate a situation just a little bit more objectively. But Deja said, "Also, have you seen about the Leah Marie Johnson situation?" I've been looking into that too. I saw that she was on Instagram Live and was like making out with her manager, who is a lot older than her. And he was like, "Oh, you're not live, right?" And then when he realized that she was live, he ended the stream and then he deleted all of his social media. He deleted his website. I don't know what's happening there. I've been trying to like figure out who that is, because I know his name. I don't remember it off the top of my head. And so like I know they know who he is, but I want to know about like his backstory. Who is this dude? Like, what's going on? I don't know if anyone else has like heard anything more about her or about the situation, if anything else has come out, but I hope she's okay. We see so often young people being taken advantage of when they have fame, when they have money, and they're surrounded by older people. We see it all the time. And a lot of times, really bad things happen from that. So I definitely hope she's okay. Okay, we're about to hit an hour. So last one, Taylor Nicole Dean and Johnny Craig. That's a mess. I am very happy for Taylor. I like, not that she's going back and forth with Johnny. Earlier in the week, they were really going back and forth a lot. Elisha Daniel was defending Taylor on Twitter because Taylor used to be on heroin. Johnny was slash is on heroin, like just a lot of drugs within their relationship. It was very unhealthy. He appeared to be a very bad influence on her and put her in a lot of dangerous situations with the drugs. There was one point where she thought that she was overdosing, like she felt really sick and she thought that she was going to die. And he was like, no, you can't leave. You have to stay here. And so I think it's great that she is clean, that she is sober, that she is safe, that she is talking about her experience, because a lot of people don't like to talk about it. It's tough to talk about it for sure, but I think it's really brave of her to be so bold with it. And I hope that, I don't know, I think they were talking about how they're going to get law enforcement involved. So if they can do that and they can prevent him from hurting someone the same way that he hurt her, that would be great. Also, some of Elijah's tweets, like, I know it's a serious situation, but Elijah was roasting him and I loved it. They just said, I'm genuinely happy for Taylor. When I saw her speaking out, it made my day. Yeah, like, it's awesome. And I don't even really follow Taylor that much. I just see what I see on Twitter. And like, I've seen from a while back her starting to get clean and beginning this like sobriety journey. And so I think it's awesome. I think it's so powerful when people who have gone through stuff like that talk about it, when they share their experience, when they say some of their lowest points and they share some of their highest, and they say, it's not always easy, but getting out and getting better feels good. Like, it's important to have those conversations and put those out there, because some people aren't so open with it. They're not so willing to talk about it. And so if someone is struggling with it, it can definitely make them feel less alone when they see other people talk about it. But it looks like that was the last suggestion we had, and we just hit over an hour. So I think that's a good place to close for today. Thank you guys so much for being here. It was really fun to do a live yesterday and today. I don't know if you saw my live yesterday, but I talked about how right before it hit 5 o'clock, it was like a dead tie. I hit refresh. There was one more vote for tomorrow, or for today, like for Friday. And so I was like, I'm just going to do both. But it was fun to do it 2 days in a row. If you missed yesterday's, definitely feel free to go back and watch it. Peace, bros. Bye, Winnie. One quick thing, I mentioned it in yesterday's live. Once I hit 3,000 subscribers, I have some ideas going on for like a live celebration party. I think it'll be really fun. So if there's anyone that you think would like my channel, is interested in true crime, is interested in current events, and like having conversations about important stuff, if you would share it with them, that would mean a lot, because once we hit 3,000, we'll do that fun little party. And if you don't know anyone who would like my channel, don't feel obligated to share it, because I don't want you like going out and suggesting it to people who wouldn't like it. But that's it on that. I'm going to go ahead and leave a community post with a place for you to put suggestions for the next live, and feel free to comment on that. Let people know. Becca, bye everyone. Have a good night. Bye, Becca. Thank you so much. I know we didn't need you to kick anybody out from what I saw, but thank you so much for being the moderator. With all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. Thank you again so much for watching. Please be kind to people, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.